As the lights went out at Spa, the stage was already set for George Russell's path to technical disaster. Exiting the very first corner of the race, his Mercedes W17 suffers a sudden, catastrophic software crash. According to trackside telemetry, the timeline of his power drop is incredibly precise and devastating. At the exit of Turn 1, Russell's hybrid battery charge instantly drains by 35 to 40%, triggering a major turbocharger boost control error. On the steep climb up Eau Rouge, the battery completely bottoms out, hitting absolute 0% charge. By the time they got to the Kemmel Straight, he was operating purely on his V6 combustion engine. His available power is cut exactly in half. Running slower than a Formula 2 car, he is completely defenceless. The Ferraris of Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton easily blow past him, dropping him from 3rd to 5th in seconds. But while the telemetry proved this was a massive software failure, team principal Toto Wolff did not blame the computer. Instead, he blamed George Russell. Today, we are exposing the shocking political warfare inside Mercedes, the bizarre driving style paradox that actually punishes Russell for cornering too well, but above all, we are investigating how computer softwares have taken over the sport. This is the Belgian debacle. Welcome to Front Lockout. Chapter 1. The Punishing of George Russell. The 2026 F1 cars only charge their electrical batteries when the driver steps on the brakes. Russell drives faster and smoother through the corners than Antonelli, which means he spends less time hitting the brakes. But remember, if you spend less time hitting the brakes, you will have less charge and less power in the straights. So when Russell refuses to brake as much and has less charge, the computers panic. The car's smart software notices this drop in charge and worries the battery will run completely dry before the lap is over. And this sets the stage for something interesting. To save battery life, the computer automatically cuts off Russell's electrical power when he reaches the straights. Because of this, Russell is essentially punished for driving better in the corners. The computer restricts his speed so much on the straights that he ends up losing a massive amount of time to Antonelli overall. But this wasn't Russell alone. During the Spa qualifying, most of the older F1 drivers were faster than Kimi in the corners, but Kimi was only biding his time to recharge and he will get those drivers on the straights. But in all of this, a separate incident happened at the very start of the actual race. A totally different computer crash affected all Mercedes engines, but according to Toto, this glitch affected some cars more than others. The team principal conceded that when the race started in Belgium, a major computer bug struck all the Mercedes engines on the track. This glitch completely broke the system that tells the electric battery when to gather energy from braking and when to deploy that energy to the wheels. Right after the very first corner of the race, the computer bug caused Russell's battery to aggressively leak out 35% to 40% of its stored energy. This sudden drop also confused the gas engine's turbo system. As Russell drove up the famous, steep Eau Rouge hill, his battery completely died, hitting exactly 0% charge. Because the battery was completely empty, Russell was left relying solely on the gas engine. Since the battery is supposed to provide half of the car's total horsepower, Russell instantly lost 50% of his power. On the massive Kemmel Straight, having only half your engine power makes you completely defenceless. His car was travelling so slowly that it was compared to a Formula 2 car, making it effortless for two Ferraris to blow right past him and drop him from 3rd to 5th place. This sudden loss of speed and track position led directly to the end of Russell's race. Desperate to fight back after being passed by the Ferraris, Russell attempted a very risky pass around the outside of Lewis Hamilton at the very next corner. Because Hamilton was driving in the dirty air behind a Ferrari, his car lost grip, slid outward and crashed into Russell. The impact knocked Russell's car into the gravel trap, eliminating him from the race. After the crash, Russell tried to argue that the collision never would have happened if his battery hadn't failed. But this does not tell the whole story. While a slower car puts you in danger, especially at the start, it was still Russell's ultimate decision to crash into Hamilton. And this highlights an attitude disparity compared to Antonelli. Antonelli fought to save even 1 point when his car broke in Silverstone. George threw away a race he could very well have finished in the top 6. Chapter 2. The Evolution of Toto's Criticism. Toto Wolff's handling of George Russell's technical struggles evolved from passive deflection to public denial and ultimately culminated in direct criticism of Russell's driving abilities. Here is how Wolff's response evolved across the three races. Austrian GP. The deflection. When Russell's straight-line speed deficit first became apparent in telemetry, Wolff downplayed the issue. He treated the speed gap as a normal operational variation and deflected attention away from the car's mechanics by focusing instead on highlighting Russell's race victory. British GP. Public denial. Wolff's approach escalated to actively shutting down Russell's feedback. When Russell tried to report his ongoing straight-line speed deficit over the radio on the slowing down lap, Wolff abruptly cut him off on the public broadcast, stating, "No, the straight-line speed's fine." Observers noted this was a direct attempt to stop Russell from making excuses on air and to protect the engine's brand image, even though Wolff later admitted in private debriefs that Russell was losing over 0.3 seconds on the straights due to mechanical drag. Belgian GP at Spa. Active blame. By Spa, Wolff's criticism became direct and personal. Rather than denying the speed deficit existed, Wolff used it to actively criticise Russell's driving style. He told the media that Russell doesn't gel with the car and blamed him for losing time in the corners, effectively throwing his driver under the bus to cover up a software calibration issue. Furthermore, even after a global software malfunction completely ruined Russell's race start, Wolff still refused to fully back him. While admitting the software failure, Wolff publicly stated that the blame was split. Half power unit, half driving. This escalating criticism was driven heavily by team politics. Wolff had faced intense scrutiny for fast-tracking 19-year-old Kimi Antonelli into the team, and he needed to validate that controversial decision by positioning Antonelli as the team's absolute benchmark. By increasingly framing the Mercedes W17's technical shortcomings as Russell's personal driving failures, Wolff was able to protect both the Mercedes engine brand and Antonelli's reputation. Do you think Mercedes is handling this well? Do you think Russell also has a hand in his own downfall? Leave us your thought in the comments. This is Front Lockout.